Hello, everyone. It's a great 2020 or 2021 starting off this year. We have a lot of interesting people lining up for this year's shows. You know, before last year, we had to search for people, but now we're at the point of we're actually getting um, a lot of people involved with some great information. So today I want to welcome everybody back to another episode. I think this is episode 25. Yes, we've made it to episode 25 of Cruel Justice Empowered by Witness the Innocent, hosted by yours truly, Herman Lindsey. For those that don't know, I'm Florida's 23rd Death Row exoneree. I'm also the Secretary of Board of Witness the Innocent. But the great thing about the show today, we actually have the chairman of the board here again, but this time he's gonna actually kind of host the show, and I will be like the co-host. So, Kwame, uh, but first let me introduce a great. No, matter of fact, I'll let you introduce Kwame. Kwame, welcome to being the host.
Well, thank you for allowing me on your platform as such. As everyone know, I am Kwame Ajamu, the chairman of Witness the Innocence. With me today is my extraordinary colleague from OSSI, that is Ohioans to Stop Executions, Hannah Kubbins. Hannah, say hello right quick.
Hey, everyone.
Thank you. And we will be discussing Ohio's points here to eradicate capital punishment. There is a lot of things going on in the great state of Ohio, despite so many people not wanting this to happen. We are moving forward with a campaign that we hope should have great responses and really, really, really good ending here in capital punishment in the state of Ohio. We did just recently do a news interview with our state representatives, Nikki Antonio and Steve Hoffman, who are pushing the bill, House bill, to eradicate capital punishment. Were you going to say something there? To eradicate capital punishment, and it is a combined effort of bipartisans with both sides of the aisle. Finally, we can cheer that on, finally. And it is a strong bipartisan support effort that's being made towards this event. We hope very, very soon to be successful. And in the near future, if God willing, Witness the Innocent and OSSI will be there to see these things come to fruition. I want to, at this time, just mention right quickly our mobility here in this campaign. It is everywhere. And the greatest part about it is that most recently, Witness to Innocence has been privileged with being able to be interviewed and videotaped by National Geographic magazine, to which we will be coming out in March in our the first time ever humans and capital punishment have been a theme in this magazine. And we are delighted to over the fact that we will also use all of these measures in our campaigns and procedures. Hannah, so I want to ask you about OSSI and our combined efforts, if you will, from a legislative standpoint.
Yeah, would it be helpful to give some background on the organization before jumping into legislative stuff?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So Ohioans to Stop Executions, OTSE for short, was founded in the 80s, and they were founded as a response to the punishment, potentially coming back to the state. So obviously at the time there was no room to do any legislative action to repeal because they were just talking about bringing it back. So for a while it was very much a volunteer-based, vigil holding, protest hosting organization that did a lot of great work in the community. As time went on, we were able to work with the legislature to implement and work on some reforms to the system because repeal still was not very much a possibility. So for example, one of these reforms was signed into law in January by Governor DeWine. It is a bill that will exempt individuals with serious mental illness from a death sentence going forward. So that was a great first step. But over the last 2 years, I've been having conversations with members of the General Assembly, along with this coalition we've built here. And I think that a lot of folks in the movement, they used to think this way, that the right was in favor of keeping capital punishment and the left was opposed to it. But as Kwame alluded to, this has got unprecedented bipartisan support. We're living in a very divisive political climate in this country, right? But the left, right, everyone in between can look at this system and agree that it is irreparable. It is irreparably flawed. It convicts innocent people all the time. You know, I know Death Penalty Info Center just came out with their special report on the innocence epidemic, which was that coordinated with the National Geographic story? Was that all kind of like a...
Yes, it was.
Yeah, okay. I thought they had come out like around the same time, if not the same day. But anyway, that report discovered that Ohio is home to 2 additional death row exonerees, Charles Tolliver, and then I'm so sorry, the last name is Pearson. Can you remind me?
Yeah, Thomas Pearson and Charles Tolliver.
Okay, thank you. So that moves our exoneree number up to 11, which means for every 5 executions in the state of Ohio, there's been 1 exoneration, because we've carried out 56 executions since the reinstatement of the policy. So, you know, this repeal bill has been introduced several times before. It's been introduced and championed by Senator Antonio and her colleagues over the years, but this is different. This is real. People are fed up with this system. They know it's not working. They know it's not worth retaining. It's not keeping communities safe. It's harming murder victim family members and convicting innocent people all the time. And so, you know, we see this support in the legislature, and that's also extending to public opinion. We did a poll last winter and asked the question of folks, you know, do you prefer the death penalty or life without the possibility of parole for folks who have committed aggravated murder? And almost 60% of folks who were polled said that they support a life without the possibility of parole punishment when given those 2 options. So I think what we're seeing here is a result of decades worth of work in educating the public and educating the legislature on why this system is so broken, and people finally get it. I'll stop there and see if you have other questions, because I feel like I've been rambling a little bit.
So no, this is great. And actually it's a segue for me to speak about how for the last 3 years inside of my organization, Witness to Innocent, I have been slowly incorporating an ideology of each one, teach one. And so with having met Jennifer Pryor and knowing of her responsibilities there at INNOENCE, I was thinking that somewhere down the line we could get together and merge with this ideology and her constant battering there, as you would, in the community, because I know that she is very, very responsible in that area. And so I'm thinking that maybe at some point we can merge and have this ideology spread out even more, like a bigger community initiative. One of the things that is so frightening about the work that we do is if and ever there's a possibility of there not being enough education behind us in the community. You know, if we have to go and always look for a source of educational resources for the community, it slows down the process of us tallying forward. And so I'm thinking that maybe we can make this in a joint effort, you know, to at the same time that we are in the trenches, we can also be in the libraries, at the schools, town halls, speaking with the community as well as we do with our state representatives. And in my case, the prosecutorial climates that would have us when we come in with our A&J organizational work shops. And so I think that, you know, if we can make that happen, it would be just a little bit more smooth sailing. Of course, this is just my one person way of thinking. But I also think that having the ability to lean on each other is what constitute the fabric and support, for lack of a better word. Yes, sir. Herman, you had it.
I want to bring to mind that we just introduced this bill, and similar bill in Florida. And you know, I've talked to a couple of people in different states, and right now they're looking at the fact that Ohio is accomplishing this bill. You know, as y'all is the front leader, y'all done this one of the most greatest things. And one of the things everybody is sitting back for, like for instance here in Florida, to deal with pushing our bill is we're looking at what was done in Ohio and what was the most successful points to be made to get this where it is now.
You go ahead, Hannah. Well, let me say this first, Hannah, and then you could bring it home because I think you would have a more powerful point. But I think that the steadfastness of first and foremost, those two founding senators of this bill, Nikki Antonio and Steve Huffman, is to be reckoned with. They never gave up. I can go back as far as 2011, and I believe Senator Antonio was trying to push forth the bill to end capital punishment in the state of Ohio. And then the fact that in the masses realizing how futile this whole policy is anyway, of waiting 40, 30, 20, 15 years to execute someone, and then you find out that two people is innocent in the same pod, has taken a toll on our societal moral compass, so to speak. And so now the numbers where at one time for capital punishment have flipped, and now they're opposing capital punishment. And I think that it is the steadfastness as well as all of the parlay that got us to this very strong bipartisan support system. Just my opinion.
Yeah, and to speak specifically to the SMI bill, because that's what y'all are doing in Florida now, right? You're pursuing the mental illness exemption. So that bill took a while to get through, about 5 or 6 years. And I think to speak to Kwame's point a little more, it absolutely has to do with the perseverance and the tenacity of folks who are pushing this through. But I think that this is a very core aspect of the work that we do, and it's education. Education is always the first step, because support for the death penalty is a mile wide and an inch deep. Once you get folks in a room and talk about the issues, they start to realize, oh, this is like horrible policy. This does not make sense. It's not worth retaining. So I think that constant education of both the community and of the legislature was really what got the job done. And I think that bill was particularly, challenging just because you're talking about two pretty controversial things, right? You're talking about the death penalty and you're talking about mental health. And there's still so much stigma around mental health and how we treat and care for folks with severe mental illness. So it was definitely an uphill battle, but I think just the constant education and reiterating of why we need this, because a lot of the pushback had to do with, well, don't we have, not guilty by reason of insanity? Well, they're two very different things, as if you take a closer look at it. But does that answer your question about the SMI bill?
Yes,
Herman?
yes, it does. I know with COVID around, things are very difficult for the challenges, but I see that y'all got the job done. Kwame, this is just an opinion question. With this bill intact, and I want people to understand the most important part about it. For instance, we had Lisa Montgomery on the federal level, and she had great mental illness, and there's many others in there that's innocent, and as actually, if you take the ones that is innocent out, and then you take the ones that's actually have mental problems, I don't think you have many people left on death row. And that's
that are just, you're saying that are just guilty criminals.
Guilty criminal. I don't think right. you have that many on death row, and I think that's one of the things that politicians look at is things like that, and what the public think. But as she said, education is the key. And that's what we're a firm believer here at Witness to Innocence. And that's what we do. We try to go around and we try to educate people on what's going on. But how would this bill help someone like that have been through so much abuse and trauma till they done clicked and decided, you know, at the last moment, just snap?
So that is the point of the bill, right?
The reason I'm asking because I want people to understand that this bill is not to say we're trying to protect someone. We're trying to address
an issue, exactly, an issue, and that is the point, as I say, because the presence of the bill is like you said, not to exonerate because of guilt or innocence, but a matter of fact, and the matter of fact being that this person, male or female, black or white, young or old, and especially young, has been victimized themselves mentally, has been bankrupt emotionally, you know, and has been put asunder in terms of their whole mental psychic. And so, you have men and women who have committed atrocious crimes against society. But it is these men and women who have committed these crimes based on, I'll take you back to right when I went to prison. I was in prison with the St. Valentine's Day murderer. You know, he heard voices from the car in the backyard that sent him in the house to kill 11 people. You know, who am I or you, someone who considers ourselves somewhat sound mind, to question whether or not that person believed that? You know, we live and die believing lies, man, to be a truth in our mind and in our heart. So you get into a psychic, something that's way beyond actually your abilities to measure. And so these people are, they messed up. They've been victimized either sexually. Some have been victimized mentally, physically, sexually, emotionally, spiritually. Some have been just locked in cages in the basement, in the dark, you know, and then they're released. You see all the time just with a dog, which I don't believe in keeping pets for that reason, but with a dog kept on a chain in the backyard. The minute that chain breaks for whatever reason, you may not see the dog no more. He's running through the neighborhood, you know, either biting people or chasing cars. So the psychic change, and it continues to do so. I'm a victim, you are a victim, Herman, of having been isolated and put into such a very hellish situation where nothing was there but your mentality, and it was challenged. So you know that when it's further, and there are people who are far beyond the mental states and capacities of which we have suffered, there is a problem, a challenging problem, and I don't think that you should put that person to death. I really don't. I think you should try to help them ease the turmoil that's going on within themselves.
Yeah, and so when we were, getting that SMI bill through the legislature, we kept emphasizing that these folks need treatment, not a death sentence. And so with this bill, there's a pretrial hearing that would determine whether or not someone did suffer from a serious mental illness at the time the crime was committed. And if it's determined that they do have serious mental illness, then death penalty is off the table. So that's how the bill is going to operate here. And though it took a while to get it through the legislature, I think it was really important that it did take that time, because sitting in committee hearings, the death penalty as a whole, as a flawed system, kept coming up as a discussion. So, there were questions about, well, if this is retroactive, then why, we're going to be putting victims through like more pain if folks can seek some sort of relief. And it just brings up the fact that, like, well, if we didn't have the death penalty, folks who are left behind after a heinous crime can mourn peacefully, and they don't have to keep waiting and waiting years and years for an execution that most of the time doesn't even happen. So it's good to see that you all are doing that work in Florida too, because I think it sparked a lot of important conversations, and it got us to where we are today, which is in the position to repeal Ohio's death penalty with bipartisan support in both the House and the Senate.
Absolutely.
You know, one of the reasons I like this bill is because, you know, I know we talk about the issues in the justice systems. You know, we always talk about the issues of justice system, but you know, one of the things I like to bring out is society. At some point, society have to step up, take responsibility, and one of the reasons I say that is because, you know, and I don't want nobody to misunderstand what I'm saying, because I'm just using this as an example. But anytime it's a child or elderly woman or certain type of victim involved in a crime, a person really don't get a fair trial, because here with the media going on, you know, when they go through trial, the victim picture is sitting up on a big screen TV, and the fact that most people in society feel like just because the police caught this person, that they actually committed the crime they did to this particular like victim, say for instance, a child. So it's very hard to get a fair trial, because it's been plenty of cases now that a case has been overturned where it's these very episodes, these very type of cases has been in effect. So this, I said that to say this, it is even more difficult now for people in society to understand that some of these crimes are happening through a person that went through so much traumatic trauma in their life until they done snap. And they have to understand it's a difference between a person with common sense going out and plotting a crime to a person that it has so much trauma built up inside of them and so much mental illness that has never been addressed, and they just snapped and actually committed a crime. And people need, and society need to, it's a very thin line, but people need to understand the difference between that, so they can understand that here we're fighting for the mental illness. We're not fighting for those that just, you know, play not guilty. Yes, we do believe that, you know, the death penalty should not be intact, period. You know, and that's because we believe the right to preserve human life. But society has to step up and understand the difference between the mental state of a person. The mental state, and you know, it's like when we was going through it, Kwame, you know, we might have had sense, and because we were wrongfully convicted, now we got so much trauma because we done been in the jail cell. How many people that we knew actually got executed from these people, and we wonder if they was innocent. And then how many people on there now that it hurts because we can't get in there and pull them out when it's a strong part. I mean, look at Julius Jones' case. Look at Rodney Reed case. You know, how you think us people that's been exonerated feel trying to fight for these people, and we can't go in there and pull them out? That's adding more trauma because it's a connection. So, you know, our mental illness, which is normally called what, PTSD, you know, I suffer from depression, you know, and things like that. But you have people that's out there that has not been able to address their mental illness, you know, and a lot of officers don't even know how to deal with cases with mental illness. Like we had a case down here, Frank Lee Smith. He didn't even have an IQ to know, and they done talked him into confession. And this is how they treated our mental illness. So now society, we need to step up and protect these ones that has that mental illness, because a lot of times us as society has failed them. Kwame, back.
Yeah, we have to step up in our educational processes. This is Hannah echoed it as well. This is what's very, very important, and a large element of what's missing as well. As long as we can valley forward, so to speak, it's fine. But we have to educate as well. You know, we have to. It's very important. That was very passionate, brother.
I have a question for Anna. With COVID, you know, I can see, you know, even though you're doing your hair and you just relax.
What is with this hair?
I don't know. That's the most common joke, you know, with women. You can do the hair. Don't mess with the weight. Do the hair, you know. But anyway, uh, I've on this road for this difficult challenge, as you have already been through to get through, especially with COVID. If I was to ask for some advice, for instance, we're pushing this bill in Florida and we're starting the campaign to back it up. What points or advice would you give me to get this to be a successful bill with here in Florida?
Sure. So the thing about the death penalty is that we're on the right side of history. You know, we have the facts, we have the data, we have the numbers, we have the stories. All of those things are on our side, right? So I think keeping that in mind and just reinforcing those and you know, ramping up the grassroots engagement and organizing, educating. We know we talked about that at length already. I think those are all great things to keep in mind. Just remembering that we are right on this and we are going to win on this issue, whether it's SMI or full out abolition. I think we're going to accomplish both personally, but does that help at all? I know that's kind of like broad, but yeah.
I mean, me personally, I can understand where you're going with this, but what I'm more looking at is, see, one of the things I like to do on this show is let people quite understand this process, because a lot of people don't understand this process, the hard work you do behind it, and things like that. So, you know, for me, that's cool, but I was like,
I can give you more concrete examples if that's
I mean,
helpful.
it's for the people. It's for the people. It's like, you know, it's for the people to understand, because, you know, someone like yourself or I can go in and we can do a lot of things. If not, we know how to put things together to create this happening. But I think people need to understand the hard work that's behind it, and the maybe some of the pros and cons. You know, I mean, if that's not too much, that'd be excellent.
No, I'm just trying to think of the best way to answer this. So
Straight up.
If folks want to see this happen, I'm thinking of like the grassroots right now, community members, people in the community. Your legislators need to hear from you. And there are folks in the state of Florida that are doing this work and trying to get this through. So absolutely make sure to support those organizations that are doing the work, and call your legislators, host a virtual event with your local organization, with WTI. Tell your, you know, spread the word, you know, to your friends, your community members, things like that. I think that's a good start, is to just get connected with those organizations in the state, and then they can kind of guide you as to what works best in their legislature. I mean, in Ohio, we have a kind of a all the campaigns that have, you know, repealed the death penalty have a multifaceted campaign. And so we've been really focusing on mobilizing people who have lost loved ones to murder and getting their stories out there, because at the end of the day, it's not about me. It's about the folks who have been impacted by this, and we want to elevate those impacted voices. So tapping into those networks and making sure that they're being heard. Talking to members of law enforcement, current and former, who maybe have, you know, changed their mind on the issue, and getting them to have those conversations with decision makers and lawmakers. But I could go on about the different folks you could mobilize and get involved, but I do think it starts with making sure you're supporting your local organization that's fighting to repeal the death penalty, and they can help you from there. And you do have some really smart and capable folks working down there in that state to get this done. So does that give you more of a concrete help? Or
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's great. That's great. Thank you. Kwame, Here, chairman of the board, you're doing a lot of great things, and you're part of something that a lot of states are looking up to right now. You and Hannah. Everybody's sitting back on this, waiting on this bill, and wanting to know what is done in Ohio. And we even talked at one of the board meetings where we were saying we need to get more done in Ohio.
Mhm.
And as soon as we talked about that, here it is, 3 years later, you got a successful bill going through. How do you feel about that work coming from exoneree perspective?
I'm elated. I actually can't wait to put my little piece in our newspaper to tell everybody in the organization how I feel. Yeah, I'm elated. As you know, Herman, ever since the first day that I came to Witness to Innocence, I've always felt that Witness to Innocence should be in a certain place in this abolitionist movement. And if given the opportunity that I could direct you to that place. I think that not just through my source of leadership, but the fact that we were able to incorporate in all former death row survivor leadership with Kurt Bloodsworth and yourself being the secretary as well in the board of trustees, that we were able to make this more successful than I even imagined. And so, I'm very, very proud of that. And to Ossie and Hannah and her coming into this position as director, I also am proud to have been a part of that growth there because I watched her too come into this position. And I know that we have joined very powerful forces. This is emotional for me, but I know that we have come a long way together and seeing this through. And it's just like, like cuddling my own little kid. Yeah. Because I'm very, very, very happy about this.
Is he holding up a tissue?
No.
Do I need to give you this one?
I can reach to get one, but I'll hold back.
Okay.
If I can add on, if that's okay. Thank you, Kwame,
Yes.
for your kind words. It's really cool for me to be in this position because I started with the organization as an intern in my senior year of college and joined the staff right after I graduated. And that was in like the spring, summer of 2017. And Ohio was just ramping up executions again after the moratorium from the Dennis McGuire botched execution. And so I kind of entered this job as like a trial by fire, and I'm kind of exiting it in that same manner. And it feels really good to know that we're going to see this through and we're going to get it done.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I want to say congratulations to both of you and all the people that are part of your team and giving this support, all of the ones in the legislations and things like that. It's things. It's so great to be part of what you call history. Because these movements and these bills are considered history, and I never thought that I would be a part of things that became history until I started doing this type of work. But it's people. For instance, as you just said, you came in as an intern, and I'm sure when you came in as you just found this interesting, and then it turned into a passion to fight, and a passion to get involved. And that's what people fail to understand when they come to these events and things like that. And they ask, what can I do? What can I do to help? And we tell them, support your local organizations, things like that. And someone walk out of the room and don't do it. But some of them get involved. And when they get involved, they come some of the top fighters, some of the top leaders in this fight, and even forming other organizations or taking parts of the organization. So I do encourage people to actually get involved. I mean, we even have entertainers get involved now. We have the actors, the singers, rappers of all natures, because this is a very, very serious fight. So we're coming down to the end of time, winding up, and I know we can go on forever on this. I know I can. I can do justice every day, but Kwame won't sign for it, so I have to do it. Just no, but you know, before we leave, I would like to say, do you have any comments that you would like to say to the people out there, our fans?
I would say, well, Kwame, I know that WTI in Ohio, we're working together to put up an action on your website to contact legislators. So that should be up sometime this week or next. So we will definitely be making that available on our social media and on our membership list. So if you're in Ohio and want to be involved, head over to our website or email me, hannah@otc.org. It's just my first name, pretty simple. And that's the best way to stay informed and to be part of this moment in history. So I think that's what I want to just say is encourage folks to get involved because it's an exciting time to be involved in it for sure.
Kwame, you got anything else to say?
So I would just, leave us with the age-old thought, what goes up stays up when you're getting up. So let's get up and stay up and make this happen.
Yeah, that's our motto. So we have a little slide before I go. So I'm gonna talk ourselves out of the slide. This slide is just a slide of information. It should appear on the board in just a second. Bingo. So, Kwame, as the host of this show, you have the responsibility of giving out the information that of this side.
Thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. Learn more about INNOENCE at INNOENCE.org. Read more about Kwame's story at witnesstotheinnocent.org. The single post Kwame Ajamu. Connect with Herman Lindsey, Lindsey at witnesstotheinnocent.org. Support WTI, the WTI.org/donate. Follow INNOENCE social media. You're in the way there, Herman, I gotta move you. Twitter at Ohio Stop Executions. Facebook at Ohio Stop Executions. Follow us on social media, Twitter at WTI USA, Facebook at Witness to Innocence, Instagram at Witness to Innocence. I ain't even been on the gram myself. I had to check that out. There you have it.
It's cool. It's cool. So with that being said, I thank everybody for, I hate that we're not really live yet, but because we're having some technical difficulties with pre-recording, because I used to love watching the little questions coming up. Yeah, Kwame, you was all into it all the time. So I
Absolutely.
everything. So, and seeing people respond. But if you do have any questions or anything, you're welcome to email us at witnessinnocent.org. We have a great staff. We will get the message and pass it on, and someone will be back in touch with you. But until next episode, I want to thank everybody for joining me on Crew Justice, empowered by Witness Innocent, with our special guest today, the chairman of the best special host today, and special guest Hannah. And I want to thank our executive director, Kurt Bloodworth, chairman of the board, Kwame, and all the other board members for making this happen. I want to thank my staff. They put together this, I never realized having a show would take so much. It's so much goes on behind it. I thought you could just get in front of a camera and just start talking, and things like that. But with Chloe, Allison, Jenny, Trisha, Carol, our staff members, they do a whole lot beyond it and get us the research and everything. So I want to thank my staff for making this show what it is too. And I want to say bye to everyone.
Absolutely. Thank you for having us. Hannah, thank you so much for coming.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was great seeing you both.
Okay, see you later.
Bye,
Chloe
everyone.
cut.